Hi everyone, so once again I'm using my morning commute to put a little video together for you, and today I thought that I'd talk to you a little bit more about a topic I touched on in my previous video. I'm going to talk to you about how to increase the effectiveness of your paid Facebook advertising by using specific audience targeting. So audience targeting is potentially one of the most underutilized features on Facebook ads. Small businesses often don't necessarily realize the power of effective targeted advertising, and it's something that can really increase the effectiveness of your advertising spend and really improve your results of your advertising. So make sure you use this feature fully. So generally speaking, Facebook gives us the ability to select specific audiences based on their gender, their age, their location, and then also other things such as special interest, occupational status, marital status, education level, all of those sorts of things. So potentially it's a really, really powerful tool that we can use. So general guidelines for marketing a Pilates or barre studio business. Typically speaking, in our industry, the typical demographic, if there is such a thing, the typical Pilates or barre student would be female, probably age sort of, depending on your studio, maybe between 25 and 65. She would live or possibly work in an area close to your studio, and she would have an interest in health and fitness or possibly in other movement modalities, related to Pilates or barre. For example, yoga, obviously Pilates or barre she may be interested in. If she's a potential barre student, she may also be interested in dance or ballet, something like that. So if I was going to do just very, very basic, simple Facebook audience targeting, that's typically the demographic that I'd go after. You can make this basic sort of guide to Pilates and barre demographics more specific to your studio if you use an online booking system which keeps track of certain client indices such as gender and age. So for example, for my studio I use MindBody Online as our booking system, and we have the capacity in MindBody to run reports which actually tell us what percentage of our clients are female versus male, and also what the sort of spread of ages throughout our studio is. So you might find, for example, if you looked at your specific system's reports, you might identify perhaps that your age range skews a little bit younger. Like you might be, if you do lots of high intensity kind of barre classes, for example, at your studio, your demographic might run from 20 to 50. On the other hand, you might find that you have overall a more mature audience. Perhaps, for example, if you do a lot of sort of more rehab-based work and sometimes the more one-on-one or quite personalised kind of work, then you might find that your age range is more sort of in the 30 to 50, 30 to 60 kind of year age range. So I'd encourage you, if you do have access to reports, which gives you more specific information for your particular studio and your particular client demographic, to adjust your advertising audience as appropriate for that. Now, generally speaking, with your Facebook advertising, if you're just doing general Facebook ads for your studio, you will find that the easiest clients to promote to and market to, or potential new clients, would be those who are very similar to your existing clientele. However, there might be times when you want to start to target or market to a different audience. So examples where this might be appropriate: if you're in an area where it's quite competitive, there are lots of other studios around and they're all sort of basically marketing to that same standard Pilates barre kind of client demographic, then you might decide that you want to shift your marketing a little and see if you can appeal to a different audience from what the majority are doing and bring in new clients that way. You might also have very specific programs that you're starting to offer at your studio. So you might be starting up a Mums and Bubs class, for example, or you might be running some classes that are specifically targeted towards the older population. And in those situations, obviously, your targeting for your Facebook advertising is going to be different from the norm. So by all means, under those circumstances, spend a little bit of time thinking about what are the key characteristics of your target market. So for example, if I was going to expand my marketing to include males, then I may obviously obviously probably, I might select both genders sort of for my ads, or I might even have an ad that is specifically targeted to men only. I'm probably going to find that the men coming into the studio will be in a similar age range to the women coming into the studio. That would be your best guess when you would first start. And you might want to have a little bit of a think about, what is the content of your ad going to be? How are you going to describe the benefits of coming to your studio to your clients or your potential male clients, and on that basis you might tailor your specific audience interests. So again, if I was targeting to men, generally speaking, I'd be expecting men who are interested in perhaps health and wellness, health and fitness, or exercise to be coming into the studio, so that would be good to add to my interest lists. But I might also be thinking about targeting my ad in terms of its wording to the weekend warriors, or perhaps men who suffer low back pain, for example. They're sort of big groups of men who come often into Pilates, and so I might be thinking about adding in some men who are interested in particular sports, for example, or things like that onto my interest list as well. If I'm targeting new mums, for example, then I have the option of targeting my ads specifically to women, and also to women in the interest lists. You can choose to include only people who are parents of young babies. So you'll see if you add in parents or parenting, then you'll come up with a number of different sort of categories for parents. So parents with young babies, parents with toddlers, parents with preschoolers, for example, and you can choose which particular groups you're going to be after with your targeting. So spend a bit of time kind of thinking about the characteristics of any new specific audiences that you're going to target to. Be aware, generally speaking, as you move away from the key client demographic for Pilates or barre classes, often it does get a little more challenging to bring these newer audiences into the Pilates studio. They're perhaps not the people who've been exposed to Pilates as much as the key demographic we would typically target, the women within that sort of younger to middle-aged sort of age group, and they don't have as much experience with friends and their close contact sort of engaging in Pilates. So the response rate to your ads will tend to be a little bit lower, and your advertising spend might need to be a little bit higher when you're first working on building these groups within your studio, until you start to get a significant number of your clients who fit into these new demographics, and you then start to get word of mouth, sort of, for example, building on your marketing efforts. I would also encourage you with your Facebook targeting to think not only about the options that you have in Facebook for selecting a specific audience, but to think about things like the images that you use in your ads. So make sure that any photos that you use or videos you use are going to have content that is going to appeal to your specific demographic. There's no point targeting an ad to older students, for example, older adults, if you've got some young girl in her 20s, early 20s, doing some high level, advanced Pilates move as your ad image. Choose someone who, as a model, is a similar age group, a similar gender to the people that you're targeting in your ad, and doing something that would be, if it's an older client, then it might be about having something that is an exercise they would see as achievable. Something like Mermaid on the Reformer, for example. An older student doing Mermaid on the Reformer with really good form could be very appealing if you're targeting an older demographic. If you're going for the young demographic, then by all means, often those sort of aspirational images of someone, the Instagram style person who looks amazing, has an incredible body and is doing something, challenging and inspiring might be something that would really work for that demographic. If you're targeting men, one of the simplest ways to increase the male contingent in your studio would be to simply, when you do your general advertising, target it to both men and women, and make sure in your images on Facebook ads you have both a man and a woman demonstrating some sort of Pilates exercise. Also, think about where clients are going to go once they click on your ad. So when they click on your ad, presumably you're going to direct them to your website for some more information, and you want to think about what their experience is going to be when they look at your website. Are they're going to go to a website which again is full of the, you know, young girls in the early 20s doing advanced level moves? Or are there images that show a diverse range of clients, you know, both men and women, you know, some younger, some older, and doing a variety of exercises, some of which may be aspirational and some of which might feel quite achievable for the less conditioned sort of person. So think about the follow through once people do click on your ad. So I hope that little video gave you some useful ideas in terms of getting a little bit more specific with your Facebook advertising and hopefully starting to improve your return on your Facebook advertising. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to post. Sorry, you're losing my face here again as I go around the corner. Please feel free to post comments below. If you enjoy the video, click like and subscribe to our video to our channel, for future updates. I'll look forward to hopefully seeing you online again soon.